welcome to week 12. This is the Ether Diver Patch of the Week, Patch Week Challenge, whatever you like to call it, whatever I like to call it. This week we are doing a patch that I'm calling Gardening, not Architecture. This is a quote from Brian Eno's Oblique Strategies, if you're not familiar with it. And it refers to the practice of creation as a process of growth and discovery and seeing what happens, and less of one of rigid planning to an adherence to a plan to execute something, like you might have in, say, architecture, building a house. And this patch was a good example of that, because it started out as a very simple, like definitely not a patch that I was doing for my patch of the week, but just a patch to test out this digital oscilloscope that is currently showing the output of the Talon VCA. This is actually what we were hearing a minute ago. And the Waveshaper, the Klavis Flexshaper that I have. So it started out, I just put a sine wave into the Flexshaper and hooked up, actually let's still have the cable hooked up this to the oscilloscope, started turning these knobs here. If you can see those, I'm trying a different thing here. Started turning these knobs on the Flexshaper and watching it on the scope to see if I could understand what's going on. And it did actually help me understand what's going on. A scope can be very useful for that kind of thing. I was using my ears too. I didn't just want to see it. I wanted to hear and see how that corresponded with the controls. And so while I was doing this, I just noticed it sounded nice. It was like, this actually sounds kind of cool. This is a cool tonality. I could use this. And rather than just being like, well, that's something to remember. And okay, I will say too, that's not exactly a surprise. I use the distorted sine waves all the time. That's one of my favorite, my go-to moves. Distorted, wave-shaped, wave-bent, wave-folded sine waves one way or another. Fuzzy, furry, fucked up in some direction or a different direction. I'm all about it, but not the. In this particular case, I wanted to see if I could understand again the Waveshaper, lest I decide to sell it, which I had decided to sell, and now I'm more on the fence on now that I know it a little better. I think I mentioned that. So anyway, like I said, it sounded good. At that point, I said, well, you know what would make this sound even better is to put it through a filter. So I stuck it into this Wasp filter. And then I said, well, if we're going to stick it in a filter, we might as well stick it in a delay. Because I have a long-standing belief that just add delay is the just add water, instant music of certainly of synthesizers and modular electronic music production, but with guitar too. I mean, you pick up a guitar, maybe a little distortion to get your tone crispy and tasty, and you just hit a couple of notes or a nice sounding chord through a delay, and baby, you got a stew going. Or, kind of a song in this case, or a little track, a little snippet, a riff of some kind. So anyway, put that into delay, and sure enough, it sounded fantastic. I mean, hey, let's hear it again. My, that sounds good. Anyway, at that point, I decided that I should just go whole hog, and I started adding all this modulation. As you can see, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things coming out of Sloths, including one of them is doubled up. Those are modulating a bunch of channels of the Flexshaper. I've also got the function modulating the top and bottom of the Flexshaper. So the bottom is bending the top down, and the bottom is bending the top up. So we get a symmetrical wave shaping on the top and the bottom. And then in the middle, it's doing all kind of wacky shit, mostly Sloths. Yep. And then the only other really noteworthy thing in the patch, I think, two other noteworthy things, I guess. One, it's all being clocked by the delay. So this is the output. This is cool. Not every delay has a clock output, but this one does. And they say, hey, it's cool to clock your patches with this. And I do that from time to time, and this is one of those times. So this is clocking the whole patch. which isn't actually that much. It's clocking itself, obviously, the delay. It's clocking the pendulum, What am I using the Benjamin for? I'll get to that in a minute. And I think that's actually, yes, that is all it is clocking. I had a different patch going here for a minute, but that's for later. So yeah, it's clocking the Benjamin, and the Benjamin is clocking this. Basically, we're just using the Benjamin to get the Rungler. Rungler goes into the blend, so I can tone it down because the Rungler is has a crazy range, and this lets you turn it down to something so it doesn't sound like, 8-octave range or whatever. So I turned it down so you can see it's turned down pretty low. It's like maybe a quarter, maybe a third of the way clockwise. Not even that, 20% clockwise, I think, a fifth of the way. To keep it pretty constrained. Yeah, and that's it. So that makes the pitch that goes to the volt per octave of the. I also have that going through kinks just to get just the positives. So I don't want it to go. I have the oscillator tuned down pretty low, and so I don't want it to go like subsonic when the Ringler hits it. So I just wanted the positive values from the Ringler, and that means it doesn't always change on every clock pulse either. Sometimes it's just because the negative pitches don't come through, so you only get the positive pitches. Oh wait, I'm lying. Actually, I have it fully rectified, so I'm getting both of the pitches, all of them come through. So never mind. See, I moved all this around. Again, gardening, so I wasn't 100% clear where we ended up. But yeah, that's where we ended up. That's what it sounds like. Sounds pretty good, I think. This is easily something I could see using as a basis for a track, sampling part of this. Actually listened to it for 40 minutes or something like that after I made it. Just kind of a nice ambient patch. That's something that's fun to do in Modular from time to time, is just patch up something for yourself and just let it run. Especially when you have it something like a Rungler or whatever that's determining your pitches, so it's not just the same. It's not just a drone or like a simple 3-note sequence that repeats infinitely or 10-note sequence that it repeats infinitely. It's ever variable, and it's nice. It's really nice. So that's the patch of the week. Gardening, not architecture. A reminder to let your stuff evolve and grow as it will. You can pull weeds here and there. I definitely did. I moved some stuff around while I was doing this. I added this in late, the talon in pretty late when I decided it would be nice to add one more stage of distortion. Also, I wanted to see what the distortion looked like on here. Ooh, look at that! Look at that Batman-looking wave. I don't know why, but a lot of wave-shaped waves end up looking like Batman's head running around in some kind of vector video game. But yep, that's it for this week. Next week, I don't know. Maybe some more back to the Strega. I have some more Strega-related, it's not exactly Strega-related, but sort of Strega-related stuff to show you. We're trying some different things with the single-mounted thing here. Hopefully, I don't know if this is going to be better or worse. Now I'm knocking it around. Let me know what you think. If we should go back to handheld, changing some stuff up with the audio too. Let me know how that works. And yeah, see you in a week. Bye.